Hey everyone, hope you're well. If you're coming here for my overview video, great to see you again. If you're new, welcome. As you probably already know because of the title, the purpose of today's video is to show you an in-depth look into this specific lure, the surface streamer. So this is primarily a trolling lure. There's nothing stopping you from casting it except that your arm will probably fall off because it does have a fair bit of resistance when you're doing a straight retrieve at the required speeds. And just like you've probably heard me say before, this is an extremely durable lure because it is epoxy based. There is no paint to rub off, and it is very scratch resistant. You'll be hearing that a lot. Oh, and speaking of its scratch resistance, keep an eye out for that strength testing video. Let's just take a good look at this. Ooh, gorgeous, beautiful, stunning, breathtaking, fantastic, alluring, sexy? Alright, now that I'm done with that word soup, let's actually start the important part of this video. Let's start with the weight. This is roughly a 3.3 ounce lure, give or take about a tenth of an ounce. And that translates to about 94 grams, give or take one. And keep in mind, this is with no hooks on or any other hardware. The best speed for trolling this lure is probably around 5 knots. Give it a couple casts to see which speed feels right for you. So before we get to rigging, let's talk about how to actually use it. If you are trolling at just a couple of knots, 3 or 4, this lure doesn't require any extra weight. Once you start exceeding that, you may find it useful to put some egg weights on the line. This will prevent the lure from popping out of the water, catching air, getting tangled. It'll just keep it more stable at higher speeds. If you are having trouble with that, and if you do want to troll at a higher speed with this lure, first of all, you will need a pretty stiff rod, but if you're going for large game like these are designed for, you should already have that. And what I recommend is starting with about 20 grams on an egg weight, and just work your way up from there. You shouldn't have to go any higher than about 50 grams at some of the higher speed trolling. Now these aren't for Wahoo speed trolling, so don't try to use them for that. So let's talk about the actual design. So if you watched my overview video, you already know a little bit about what I'm about to say, but these lures are designed to cavitate. This lure has a front end similar to a popper. This is to induce a cavity that hugs the bait and helps produce loud noises and bubble trails to further attract the fish. The action is a lateral back and forth movement just like a fish, with a little bit of head wobble added on to twist the cavity back and forth. This helps simulate the noise of a frantic fish swimming. Sorry, I have to give my little spiel again. These lures are fully unique. There may be other lures with a similar color scheme, but because of the nature of epoxy, the patterns and figure of each one can never be exactly the same. Each one has a number identifying that is on the tag that you will receive when you purchase it. Keep this if you are a real collector. Or, if you need to resell it or something and you want to have proof that it's real or, any of that good stuff. But, who would want to resell this? Alright, let's talk about rigging. When it comes to rigging, I recommend a nice heavy-duty monofilament. Now you can crimp it or you can tie it, whatever you're comfortable with. Once monofilament starts getting to higher and higher tests, as you probably know, you will need to start crimping instead of tying because they're just too stiff to hold a knot correctly. But once you have a way for the monofilament to be attached to the lure correctly, you're going to need to think about the other end, which should be a swivel. And a nice overkill, beefy, heavy-duty swivel at that. These swivels are 200-pound test, just like the monofilament you see here. Even though these lures do tend to stay upright, they will spin a little bit, and over 30 minutes of trolling, you might have yourself a tangled line, so spinners are definitely recommended. And for the surface streamer, I recommend a 4/0 to 7/0 treble hook on the belly and back, or you can use a 4/0 to 7/0 on the belly and try a 8/0 to 12/0 assist hook on the back. That works really well. If you want to know the general construction of these lures, I do outline it a bit better in my overview video, linked here, or here, or probably in the description. Take a look at that. And if you are inclined to purchase one or just want to familiarize yourself with the lures, please visit our website, pyroslures.com. Remember, each lure is listed individually, and there's only one stock of each specific color. Thanks for stopping in. Check out my other videos. Love ya.